do. One day I want the white fence and a husband who comes home, makes most of the money in our house. I don't think I'll ever have a time in my life where I'm not working. I'm a workaholic, but I one day want to be a mom.
Stephen Krug super chatted $99.99. Pregnant lady is so 100% correct. Mind blown. I've been waiting so long for someone to say this. All the women on this show are dysfunctional. This is part of the reason I'm 31 and single and waiting it out for the one to show up who is critical and uses data.
Mm-hmm. Well, okay, to be fair, it's not necessarily y'all's fault, and the chat's going to get mad because this is a predominantly male audience. I don't think our moms are teaching us how to get men that we are attracted to and how to keep them, and I think that is a huge issue. What did your mothers teach you about dating?
I feel like, in my perspective, I grew up with a single dad who raised me, and I think that is part of the reason why I am in a good relationship and why I kind of know that there are roles in a relationship, and I'm more on the traditional side, and I think that's why I've been able to secure someone who has a really good job, someone who takes care of me, someone who is all about me, you know what I mean? And I do think that I was taught at a young age by my single dad how to be a good girlfriend, because he was maybe so bitter about my mom. So I do understand kind of where you're coming from. I just was trying to say maybe it was a broad statement at first.
Yeah, I made a general statement. Here's the thing. What's the definition of a functional relationship? The definition of a functional relationship is one where both of your needs are getting met. I'm not hearing a lot of that from you guys. And so if it's not functional, you could call it neutral, or you could say and you could argue that it might be dysfunctional. But you guys are all very young. You said you're 20, you said you're 18. I don't expect y'all to know it. But if you guys don't figure out how men are, you're gonna get ran up on hard, and then you're gonna have this darkness in your heart, and you're just gonna not want to deal with men at all. And that happens a lot. I'm 28, I'm not old, okay? But you guys probably do think I'm old. But that's really concerning. Have you ever seen women on the other side? They're miserable at your family functions and alone.
I want to say, I still think you're being quite condescending, because we said we have not been in a long-term relationship does not mean we don't know what we want, and we don't know what a good relationship looks like.
Hold on just a sec, guys. Saved by the bell.
Ladies on the panel, what Aly is saying is only condescending to you because you guys lack the knowledge of life that she has experienced.
Can we pull up?
She's trying to help you listen to her. You won't get the white picket fence with a hubby with that entitled attitude.
Okay, Cheeks.
That's
well,
just how they are. You said you were in. Did you say you were in a relationship?
No.
Okay, how old are you?
I'm single. I'm 18.
You're 18. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's to be expected. I would expect you to be single when you're 18, but I would very much urge and encourage you guys to try to understand the opposite sex better, because if you don't get married by 30, it's very unlikely that you will be married past that. And you could look at it as a perspective of aging and options, but it also comes down to, I don't know. I think there's also personality differences. I just think it's unlikely that if you're waiting that long to get married, it might not be a priority for you. And not every woman wants to get married, but I would say that that's probably the minority of women, but we're being convinced that that's the majority of women right now. And I'm not sure that that's helpful, right? So I would just look past at how my words make you feel, because at the end of the day, I'm going to give birth to a girl. She's going to be a woman. This is just not what I would want for her. You know what I mean? Because it's not
what isn't what you would want for her? Waiting for a good guy to come along to commit to, or is your advice hop into a relationship as young as you can to secure a man?
I wouldn't say hop into a relationship as young as you can, because most women are honestly very. The youngest I've seen a woman be aware of herself and romance is 24, and to know what she wants fully and to know herself, unless you're growing up in a 2-parent traditional religious household. So I wouldn't necessarily send up in this world, send off my daughter to get married at 18, unless that was her personality type, to where she just always wanted long-term relationships, and that's how she is, right? So, but I would encourage my daughter to get married. I think a lot of women find fulfillment in marriage and children, but it has to be done in a healthy context. I'm kind of confused at why you're upset with me.
I'm not upset. I had an issue with your initial statement. I fully agree. I think that marriage is a serious source of fulfillment, and 2-parent households are what makes the world a better place. came out and said that we are dysfunctional because we are not in relationships, and then you made it seem like because I'm 18, not in a relationship, I'm never going to get married.
No, that's that. I'm not trying to be mean. Like that's like projection. That's not what I said.
I'm not worried about you being mean. It was your statement. It just didn't make sense.
Right. Okay. So
fully disagreed.
You can disagree, right? But I'm not saying that if you don't get married at 18 that you'll never get married. That's not the statement that I made at all. Right? Like you're making a different argument that wasn't said. I said that it's dysfunctional to let men use your bodies and to be waiting for him for 2 years. I'm not saying that you did. But most women are out there, right? Because we want these guys to like us. Like
so then let's say most women, not you guys.
That's what you're inferring, though. I do.
No, well, you're in a 2-year relationship, so we're not even really talking about you. You figured something out. You grew up with a single dad.
But does that mean that they haven't figured anything out? What I'm saying, though, is I understand that you're not necessarily saying it to them, but you are inferring it with what you're saying. So I do kind of get
as you're staring at us and saying, "You guys, and you haven't done this, and you haven't done that."
Right. Well, we're working on it. Just like take it with grace.
Hold on. What? Go ahead.
It was just like the fact that we're pretty young, and we're talking about how we haven't our longest relationship is 2 years, 1 year and a half, and you're saying I'm very terrified that you guys can't hold down a long-term relationship. It's we're pretty young. We shouldn't really be in such long-term relationships at this age. And just the way you're just saying I'm worried for my daughter because this is the future she lives in. But it's if you're so worried about your daughter, wouldn't you be able to teach her how to do what you want her to do? And because
it's not about what I want her to do.
Okay, but you did say what you wanted her to do. It's you wanted her to kind of have a fulfilling life, and that's true. But it's just I lost my train of thought.
No, I got it. I can explain, right? Okay, so before the show, we're talking about dating apps. Some of you ladies are on Tinder. Some of you ladies are on Hinge. I actually think Hinge is pretty good. Hinge is pretty cute. I've seen a lot of relationships come off of Hinge. But when we're talking about Tinder, and we're already complaining about the small pool of men that we're having issues with, if you are a man with malicious intent, or if you are a man who, let's say he has a proclivity towards sociopathy or narcissism, and he's attractive, he's going to be using Tinder in order to date you guys. Why would you be on these apps? What part of that sounds healthy? This is what I'm saying. I'm confused.
I just think we're on different life stages, because with me, dating, it would add some fun to my life. But for you, it's you're settling down. But I feel when you're younger, my age and everyone age here, it's I'm not here to settle down at my age. I'm not trying to sleep around. I'm not trying to whatever. But it's it's to have somebody to kind of rely on, not someone to be have my babies. I'm not at that age yet. I'm at a different stage. You know what I mean? I'm just looking for something different right now. And I'm focusing on my career. I'm focusing on school. I'm not really focused on a husband. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. So but you're saying dating, and a lot of women use the word dating as a euphemism. When we talk about situationships, it's often we're talking about unprotected sex. We live in a world that has hormonal birth control. You know what I mean? I'm not saying you guys don't have to say anything that you're doing behind the scenes, but if we're just dating men and we're not necessarily giving our bodies to them, or we're getting to know them, that's amazing and that's awesome. But I don't think that that's what most women are doing. And also, I talk to women every day. That's what I do. I have a YouTube channel with 145,000 subscribers. My female audience is growing, and it's just because I really believe in love. But if we set really bad habits by the time we're 30, those are just really hard to break. Your brain is more malleable the closer 25 years old and younger. You know what I mean? So it's take your time and date, but I wouldn't recommend just freely giving your body to men. It doesn't make any sense. And the men that are looking for your body to be freely given to them, they're going to be on Tinder.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think any of us said that we're doing that,
I didn't say that you guys said you were. I said I talk to a lot of women every day, and a lot of the times when we use the word dating, we're using it as a euphemism for unprotected sex.